Dolby Atmos has already been proven to be amazing. Movies are produced in Dolby Atmos. TV shows are produced in Dolby Atmos. Music is now being produced in Dolby Atmos. But even though we've been trying to produce music in Dolby Atmos for years at this point, it still just isn't there yet. And here's why I think that is. The first reason is the complexity of mixing in Dolby Atmos. So to give you a little bit of context, when you're looking at audio setups like stereo or 5.1, those are based on the amount of speakers or channels in the setup. So stereo has 2 channels, a left and a right. The numbers in 5.1 detail the amount of speakers there are, but Dolby Atmos is fundamentally different. Dolby Atmos doesn't care about the amount of speakers you have. Instead, it takes a more object-focused approach. So when mixing in Dolby Atmos, it's like you're being provided a virtual 3D space. So you could say like, I want my vocals to be placed right over here, I want this race car to go all the way over here, I want this hi-hat to be placed up there, and because it's object-based, the more speakers you add to your setup, the better your Dolby Atmos listening experience will get. Sorry for the yap, but getting back to the main point about complexity, mixing for Dolby Atmos is a different ballgame than mixing for stereo. So imagine telling a mixing engineer who's just been mixing in stereo to learn a completely different and more complicated method of mixing. I would lose it too. And it's especially more difficult to mix in Dolby Atmos when you're doing it for music. Because unlike a movie, where in most parts you'll just have dialogue, nat sound, a couple of sound effects, in a song you'll have a bajillion different layers and instruments competing for space. You've got to make sure the volume of everything is correct. You've got to make sure there isn't any clipping. You have to make sure that there's dynamic range in your song so that nothing feels cluttered. Now, since mixing in Dolby Atmos takes more effort and takes more time, it's going to cost more. And that's the second point. Not every artist has the funds to get their song produced in Dolby Atmos. And remember, while most movies and TV shows are produced by a huge team, many different songs are just produced by one individual. But what's the point of producing in Dolby Atmos if nobody's going to hear it? And that's the third point, availability. Firstly, only 3 paid music services support listening to music in Dolby Atmos. Those being Apple Music, Tidal's Hi-Fi Plus tier, and Amazon Music Unlimited. That's it. No Spotify, no YouTube, obviously not the radio. And even if you do have one of those 3 services, do your speakers support Dolby Atmos? You'll probably be listening to music on something like your phone, or your computer, or in the car, or on your AirPods. And out of those 4, your AirPods are the only ones which are able to deliver an at least convincing virtual Dolby Atmos experience. And the fourth point, we also need to take older music into account. Obviously, there are a plethora of songs released before 2021. Not every song is widely known enough to get remastered for Dolby Atmos. And we've already seen the way some mono to stereo remasters have gone. There are a ton of people who have said that the stereo remaster sounds noticeably worse than the original mono version. And like, just think about it. Why would you spend time remastering Thirsty by AJR for Dolby Atmos? Wait a damn minute, is it in Dolby Atmos? Okay, good. No, it isn't, but I swear there was a time where it was. I mean, like, can you just imagine someone spending their precious time remastering this? Thirsty, thirsty, Thursday. So when you take all of these things into account, the current result is pretty messy. You've got some songs made by very popular artists that sound amazing in Dolby Atmos. You have other songs by many artists that aren't produced in Dolby Atmos at all. And this also includes some bigger artists. Tyler, the Creator's last 2 albums, Chromacopia and Don't Tap the Glass, were only produced in stereo. And then you have that sort of middle ground where the songs are produced in Dolby Atmos, but they don't sound good. 2 shining examples of this are The Big Goodbye by AJR and Golden from KPop Demon Hunters. Now I want to start with The Big Goodbye, which thankfully is not as bad as Thirsty. In fact, it's my favorite song. This song, at the time of recording, is number 2 on my Apple Music replay for 2025, and it's about to jump up to number 1. It is an absolute banger in stereo. And at the time of recording, this song is still quite new. At the time of its release, it was only in stereo. But as the song got more and more popular, AJR decided to have it produced in Dolby Atmos. And so I took a listen to it, hoping to hear 5 minutes of pure glory. Instead, in no uncertain terms, I received an atrocity. I realized while I was editing this video that that was a little bit too harsh, but there are still issues with the mix, so I'm going to point them out. First of all, in the intro, there was already a little bit of clipping in the kick drum in the stereo version. That clipping got even worse in the Dolby Atmos version. Throughout the verses and the chorus, especially that first verse, Jack's voice has way too much reverb on it. And somehow, they took out an entire lyric. Right after the interlude, Jack is supposed to sing "Just Make It Sound Like This" once again, and you can't hear it. The time sync lyrics even show that he is supposed to say "Just make it sound like this," and he just doesn't say it. Honestly, I don't even think Jack would want his whole life to sound like the Dolby Atmos mix of The Big Goodbye, because that would just be a mess. And that would make him a mess with an S on his chest, got stress filling up his head. Oh my god, 2 references in one, I am killing it today! But then we get to Golden, which is a lot more surprising. If you somehow do not already know, Golden is the most popular song off of now the most popular Netflix movie of all time, K-Pop Demon Hunters. Pretty much everybody and their mother has heard this song at some point, and a large majority of those people have been belting it in the car. You know who you are. And obviously it's a pretty big film. It was made by Sony Animation Pictures. Yet somehow, the Dolby Atmos mix of this song is also terrible. Every bit of low end is basically gone. And some of the bass that's still there frequently drowns out EJ's, or Rumi's, voice. And remember, when you drown out Rumi's voice, that prevents the Hunmoon from being sealed. What makes this even more confusing is that the stereo track was mixed to perfection. Oh, and as a final bit of damage, the volume of Dolby Atmos tracks is different than the volume of stereo tracks. The stereo tracks are usually played at a much higher volume. And so if you've got a bunch of songs that are in stereo, and you've also got a bunch of songs that are in Dolby Atmos, and you put these songs on shuffle, you'll be listening to a Dolby Atmos song, it'll sound normal, and then you get to a stereo song, and bang, your ears are dead. Now, given all that I've said, this is not to diss on Dolby Atmos. It obviously has huge potential, it's just that for music, it has a long way to go. But yeah, I guess that's it for this video. So thanks so much for watching, please like and subscribe, and also comment down below what you thought, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!